Hi everyone, welcome back to Trees and Turtles. My name's Imogen. In today's video, I'm sharing lessons I learned from being at Durham. If you're not already subscribed, be sure to do that. Give this video a thumbs up, follow me on Instagram, and let's get started. So I went to Durham for university for 3 years and I graduated in 2024. For those of you who don't know, if you're new here, welcome. And for those of you who've been around a while, you've probably seen other videos that I've made about Durham, vlogs and so forth, and also advice videos. So this is kind of just like a video about if you're thinking of going to university at Durham, if you're thinking of moving to Durham, if you're just genuinely curious about like what living in Durham is like. This is like a very sort of random collection of things that I discovered about the university, about being a student there, and about the town itself. So this video was really fun to write. It's also currently really fun to film, and I hope it's fun for you to watch, so let's dive in. The first thing that I learned from being at Durham is that the centre of town is very much a student area. The actual locals tend to live further out. So in like out of term, or like towards the end of term, the centre of town can get very quiet, and that's because the student population is kind of like gone home for the holidays or whatever. So the centre of town is very like student focused and student oriented, and the actual like locals who like are like, you know, they've lived in County Durham for a lot longer and they're not just there for university, they actually tend to live a little bit further out of town, which is fascinating to me. Okay, my second point, which I just mentioned, I will read it verbatim. It is weirdly dead out of term. It is weirdly dead out of term. I mean, I'd usually not be there out of term because I was a student and I'd gone home, but out of term, and I was there for like a little bit of overlap, and also my friends who stayed in Durham over the holidays told me this, like it is weirdly dead out of term. I think it has to do with, you know, the city centre being very, very student oriented, and when like the students are gone temporarily, like the nightlife is dead and there's not a lot of student theatre going on, for example, so it's very, very quiet when you're not in term. And also Durham is a very quiet town in general, so yeah, when the students aren't there, it is quiet. All right. The next thing I learned is that lots of people go to Newcastle for the nightlife, although I thought Durham nightlife was fine, but then I'm a huge nerd and I barely go clubbing, okay? So take my advice with a pinch of salt. A lot of people go to Newcastle for the nightlife because it's like on the direct train line, so it's really, really simple and easy, and Newcastle does have great nightlife, although I never really explored that in any great detail. But yeah, lots of people go to Newcastle for the nightlife, but I preferred to stay in Durham for the nightlife because it was fine for my very limited clubbing needs, and it was also very easy for me to walk home in like 10 or 15 minutes. The next thing that I've learned, so context, I was at Castle, also known as University College, and the other one of the other Bailey colleges, which is on the sort of the peninsula, the Bailey, is Hatfield, and there is a sort of like famed Castle Hatfield College rivalry, okay? And I heard about this before I came and I was like, oh, I wonder what this is going to be like. But the Castle Hatfield rivalry is very exaggerated, okay? It's mainly a college initiation joke for freshers. Now, don't get me wrong, it is a thing, and, you know, Castle has all of these, like, college chants, which are all about dissing Hatfield, and I'm sure that Hatfield probably has similar, like, it is definitely a thing, but it's more of, like, a friendly sort of running joke than anything else. I think it's because they're the two oldest colleges, basically, and Castle was first, and then Hatfield was like second, so there is like this rivalry, but it's not like it's not that deep. It's actually not that deep. It's more of a first year type freshers thing, and once you kind of get over it, it's like a running joke more than anything else. Another thing that I've learned is that college history and traditions are very important. Now, I think this is more the case. So Durham has a collegiate system, and obviously there are multiple colleges, and every student will be a member of a college, and you get sorted into colleges in your first year, and well, just before your first year, you arrive to your college, okay? So there are 17 colleges, and they are split into two categories. There are Bailey colleges, which are on the peninsula, and they tend to be older, more historic, more central. And then there's Hill colleges, which are up on the hill, and they tend to be more modern, a little bit further out of town. So Bailey colleges, like, are mostly for, like, well, they can be both. Okay, so Bailey colleges tend to have a higher proportion of like humanities students, and Hill colleges tend to be more science, like STEM students, mostly because they're close to like the science site for lectures and stuff. I am kind of an exception. I was on a BSc course, so like a science course, and I went to a Bailey college. But yeah, so college history and traditions are very important. So there are things like college chants, college formals, college balls. There are lots of like college society. So it's very, very like college based. And obviously people like socialize outside of their colleges, but I met a lot of friends through my college. So the college like history and traditions are really super important to Durham. Okay. You will find nice people in every college and terrible people in every college. Now, a lot of the time when people like ask me about Durham, they're like, you know, are there any colleges that I should avoid because the people are terrible? And, you know, you ask someone this and they will say, oh, you know, this college is terrible, or that college is terrible, or the best people go to this college, or this college, or this college. And how do I put this? There are good people in every college and there are bad people in every college. And I think it really depends on the sort of what you're looking for in a college as to whether you're going to be a good fit or a bad fit. So I've had people like in my sort of social circle who are very happy with their college allocation, other people who absolutely hated their college. I loved my college, and I met some lovely people at my college. So I genuinely, you will find nice people in every college and you will find terrible people in every college. And it kind of just depends on your personality and your friend group as to whether you're going to have a good college experience or not. So it's worth kind of like reading about the different like personalities and demographics of each college and the environment to kind of decide where you're going to vibe best. But I would never say that one college is entirely 100% perfect or entirely 100% full of terrible people, because that's just not true. All right. The next thing is that sharking and college bingo do in fact happen. If you are not familiar with these terms, sharking refers to a third year getting with a fresher, and college bingo refers to getting with someone from every college. Okay, I'm not going to elaborate on any more on that. These traditions may have problematic aspects, but they are not a myth. They do in fact happen. All right. There is a hill in Durham. Well, there are many hills in Durham. Durham is an extremely hilly place, but there is one hill called Cardiac Hill, and it is called Cardiac Hill for a reason. In my second year, I had lectures in the Maths and Computer Science building, which is at the top of Cardiac Hill, and yes, I'm very glad that I did not have any lectures there in my third year, because it was a struggle, especially because of my lectures. Most of my lectures there were 9 a.m.s. Like, I don't even know how I did it. I was in distress. Yes, but anyway, Cardiac Hill is called that for a reason. I swear it's like a 45-degree angle. If you're trying to walk up it, you are going to have like it is a nightmare. There's actually a handrail that they've put up the middle of Cardiac Hill, because otherwise you literally would not be able to scale it in the winter. Like, it's so slippery from like all the wet leaves and stuff. Like, it's almost like an extreme sport climbing Cardiac Hill. I'm not even kidding. Sorry guys, if you're going to be on like a maths or computer science course, I don't intend to scare you, but if you do have to climb up this hill, then be warned, it is called Cardiac Hill for a reason. Alright, another thing that I learned from being at Durham is that refreshers is also kind of a big deal. So refreshers is kind of what it says on the tin. It's like freshers, but it's halfway through the year. Okay, so freshers in itself will be in like September, October, and then refreshers will be in like January or like February. So like the start of Epiphany term. So there are 3 terms at Durham. Michaelmas, which is the first term, Epiphany, which is the second term, and Easter, which is the final term. And refreshers happens at like the start of Epiphany term, so the second term, and it's just kind of an opportunity to do freshers again for people who like missed it the first time or who really loved it the first time. So that's not something that I necessarily heard of at like other universities. I don't know, is it a thing for other people who went to like other universities? Let me know in the comments if refreshers is a uniquely Durham thing or if it happens at other universities too. Maybe it does, I don't know. Again, I've only been to the one university, so I don't know. Refreshers is kind of a big deal. I never really got into it, but I kind of did like 1 freshers and that was enough for me. But yeah, if you're into that kind of thing, then it could be a cool way to meet people. Alright, this is a fun fact about my college. I could probably make a whole video of fun facts about my college because the lore goes deep, guys. The lore goes really deep. But Castle is the only college which doesn't announce its June Ball theme in advance. This is maybe a useless fact, but I'm putting it in the video because it's not really relevant to any of my other videos. So Castle June Ball is kind of a big deal. I went twice. I went in my first year and I went in my final year. In second year, the college ball I attended was Halfway Hall, which was It's a ball which is halfway through your second year, and anyone can attend, but it's particularly directed at second years because it marks the halfway point of your degree. So I went to Halfway Hall in second year instead of June Ball, because I kind of just wanted to like go to one ball a year. But yeah, in first year and third year I went to June Ball, and Castle June Ball is kind of like this big, like, it's a really, really strong college tradition. It's one of like the biggest college traditions in terms of like how much of a big deal it is and how much of a big deal people make out of it. At least in my college it was. So yeah, and I don't know, it's very odd because all of the other colleges have June balls and like sort of summer balls, but they all announce their themes in advance. But Castle is very secretive about this theme. So you don't know what the theme is going to be. Only the ball committee knows what the theme is going to be. And then you have to show up on the night and the theme is just whatever it is. So I think in my first year, the theme was like lights and movies, like sort of like light displays and like movie magic. And then in my final year, what was the theme? The Halfway Hall theme was like a series of unfortunate events, which was very, very fun. And then my final year, God, it's actually not been that long and I can't even remember what the final year was. Final year June Ball theme was. I can't remember. If I remember, I'll mention it later in the video, but it slipped my mind. But yeah, it doesn't announce its June Ball theme in advance. Okay, so I mentioned this a little bit earlier in the video, but there are Hill colleges and there are Bailey colleges. Now, I had friends from Bailey colleges, I had friends from Hill colleges, so I kind of got like a decent insight into what like both types of college are like. But Hill and Bailey college students tend to have very different lifestyles, and not to like generalize or anything because there are different like lifestyles across all colleges, but they definitely tend to like gravitate towards certain colleges and certain areas depending on like what vibe you want. So science students, like I mentioned, tend to live in Hill colleges, and humanities students tend to live on the Bailey, although this is not a hard and fast rule. Like, I got my BSc from a Bailey college, so Hill colleges tend to be like way more modern. Bailey colleges tend to be very like historically focused. I really wanted a college that had like a lot of like a really rich history and had cool architecture, so that's why I went for Castle. But yeah, if you weren't too fussed about that, and a lot of students who are really sporty tend to go to Hill colleges as well. So if you're like really, really sporty and you're kind of into that kind of vibe, that wasn't my thing. But yeah, they tend to live different lifestyles. But again, that's kind of a generalization, and you will find people with every interest at every college. For example, in my third year, I joined the Collingwood D&D Society. So I play Dungeons and Dragons, and Collingwood is a Hill college, and so you are allowed to join societies from other colleges as well. Like, you aren't just limited to joining societies from your college. So yeah, and there are also societies which aren't like college specific. So I was a member of DU Geography, so that was just the Geography Society, and that was more departmentally based than it was linked to any one college, okay? So there are like subject specific societies, there are like college specific societies, but you can join like pretty much any society that you want to join. Alright, the last thing, I wanted to end this video on a light note, and I'm not going to name names here, but every college bar has a specific college drink, and some of them are genuinely horrendous. Now, okay, by all means take this with a pinch of salt, because I told you earlier in the video that I'm not like a huge nightlife person, and I didn't try every college drink. Okay, I didn't try every college drink, but every college bar has a specific college drink. There may be exceptions, I'm not sure, but as far as I'm aware, this is true, but some of them are horrendous. So, but also I feel like you kind of have to embrace that. Sometimes it's like so good it's bad. I don't know, but every college bar has a specific college drink, and people do like college bar crawls as well, where they try and like go around all of these. Now, there are 17 colleges, so that's a bit of a challenge. You might have to split that up unless you're an incredibly heavyweight drinker. I'm certainly not. I think I'd make it like, I think I'd make it round the 5 Bailey colleges and then I'd give up, to be honest. But I think my limit would be like 5 or 6 colleges max. I think I'd like, yeah, I would be out of it after that. But anyway, yeah, that's the end of this video. I know this was a very random collection of facts, and also kind of mostly about being at Durham University, so I might like kind of alter the title of this video to be about that, because this was more like Durham University based than sort of generally in the city. I don't know. I liked making this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope it gave you some insight into like college life and student life, and that's the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, give it a thumbs up, follow me on Instagram. I'll see you next time. Bye!